Hello, this is Keith, welcoming you to the 2116th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 5th of October 2017. The readers this week are Keith, Janet, Sally and Colin, with Robin on the controls. The editor was Janet and the production and distribution team is Alan, Ali and Phillip. We also have two guest readers today. Welcome to Geoffrey and Joan. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Ferdinand Bouillon and Harry Breur, and is performed by Jean-Jacques Perry. It's used with his kind permission. The local stories that we will be reading come from the Enfield Independent and the Tottenham and Wood Green Independent, and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The lead story this week is Schoolboy Pals Save a Man's Life. First, the sunrise and sunset times for the week beginning the 1st of October. Sunrise 7:08, sunset 18:27. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and she will be pleased to help you. That's Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. Now Janet will read the first item of local news.
Sammy and his pals save a man's life. A school has paid tribute to a courageous pupil who helped to save the life of a suicidal stranger. Sammy Farrar, 14, who attends Oasis Academy in Enfield, was walking along the A10 in Waltham Cross with two friends when they came across a distressed 21-year-old man about to jump off the footbridge. The boys pleaded with him not to jump, and two held him back, while the other friend raised the alarm. Their calls attracted the attention of 47-year-old grandmother Joan Stammer, who dashed to their aid. Miss Stammer took over from the boys, holding the young man until the police and ambulance services arrived. The A10 was closed during the incident at around 5 p.m. on Thursday, September the 21st. Sammy's father, Mohammed, was full of praise for the heroic actions of his son and his two teenage friends. He said what they did was brave. Emergency services took the man to hospital around 6:20 and the road was reopened to traffic 5 minutes later. Neil Hassel, the principal at Oasis Academy, said, "The display of such courageous character shown by the boys is something to be commended. We are extremely proud of Sammy's action. As an academy, we pride ourselves on our ethos and strive to teach all our young people about strength of character and development habits, such as compassion and consideration for others. This was an outstanding demonstration of both." John Murphy, CEO of Oasis Community Learning, added, "This young man has demonstrated his exceptional character and competence for the good of someone else in his community, and we couldn't be prouder." Chief Inspector Ian Butler of Hertfordshire Constabulary said, "I am in no doubt the actions of the people who helped this man saved his life. We will look to recognise the actions of those involved."
A remarkable transformation. An urban park's remarkable transformation has been capped with the winning of a national award which recognises exciting and inspiring water-based improvement projects. Firs Farm Wetlands in the Pinsbrook Park catchment was recognised for its achievements at the Canal and River Trust's 2017 Living Waterways Awards ceremony in Birmingham on Wednesday, September the 27th. The project won the Natural Environment category at the Oscars of the Waterways ceremony. Run by the London Borough of Enfield and Thames 21, the project resulted in 500 metres of the Moor Brook being restored. Moor Brook is a lost tributary of Pims Brook near Palmer's Green. A spokesperson for the Living Waterways Award panel said, "The highly integrated nature of this scheme, involving very active partners and close cooperation between different professional disciplines, is truly inspiring. The revealing of a hidden watercourse is not unique, but pursuing this aim to fulfill so many different goals is highly noteworthy, and the project has already demonstrated its value as a catalyst for future work." Further outcomes of the project were new wetlands habitats and improved water quality. And with more than 100 homes having improved flood defences, along with a section of the A10 now protected from potential flooding, much excitement has been generated. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Daniel Anderson, said, "We are thrilled for all the council officers and volunteers who have worked and continue to work extremely hard to maintain this unique habitat. It is one of the largest sustainable urban drainage systems of its kind in Europe, providing homes and helping to increase biodiversity. In turn, the Firs Farm project has helped to foster a strong community spirit, which we are sure will continue for years to come. Congratulations to all." Other notable changes for the better include a cycleway and network of footpaths, an outdoor classroom, and seating areas to encourage visitors. Improved links between Edmonton and Winchmore Hill have also been created. John Bryden, Thames 21 Senior Programmes Manager, said, "This has been a really successful partnership project, and we are delighted to have supported the Friends of Firs Farm and Enfield Council in the development and delivery of this as a community space and environmental education resource. Our monitoring programme has shown the significant reduction in pollution levels that the wetlands deliver, helping to restore Prims Brook catchment towards a healthy state and delivering massive benefits to wildlife." The Living Waterways Awards are sponsored by Kia, Arcadis, CPC Civils, Land and Water, Vinci and Fountains. The awards are assessed by an independent panel of experts. Richard Parry, Chief Executive of the Canal and River Trust, explained, "The Canal and River Trust is once again proud to announce the winners of our National Living Waterways Awards. These annual awards give us the opportunity to celebrate the tireless efforts of those who are helping to transform the nation's rivers, canals, lochs, lakes and reservoirs, making them exciting, vibrant places where people want to be."
Hospital workers fight job losses. Cleaners and porters protested outside the hospital in which they work over fears of redundancy. Led by members of the General Workers' Union, GMB, employed by Medirest, staff stood outside the North Middlesex Hospital entrance with placards aloft. Organiser Michael Dooley said, "Within 3 months of taking on the portering contract at North Middlesex Hospital, Medirest announced redundancies of frontline staff. This resulted in a reduction of 10 porters, meaning a reduced service available to patients. If Medirest knew that they would have to make staff cuts, then they should not have taken on the contract. This is a money-saving exercise, nothing else. A Medirest spokesman, "We are currently in discussions with some of our colleagues at North Mid to review their working patterns to ensure we meet the needs of our client and find the most appropriate outcome. We are committed to an ongoing dialogue with our colleagues and encourage them to raise any concerns they may have. Members of the public have the chance to find out more about the developments that are taking place at a new hospital due to open in less than a year. Chase Farm Hospital's Chief Executive Natalie Forrest and Medical Director Alan Macmillan will be at an open meeting at the Dugdale 8 p.m. and 8 p.m. to talk about progress made.
Book Club. The Book Club meets monthly on Thursdays in the community room as Carol by Charles Dickens. Contact Sue Scott for further details at scottsf48@hotmail.com or call her on 020 8368 0861. Coffee Club. This is a new club which has recently been launched. All forum members are invited to come along, any time from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, on the first Wednesday of each month, at Trent Park Country Park Cafe. It's very informal. Have a chat, make new friends, go for a walk afterwards. The park is served by buses 121, 298, 299, 307, 377 and 384, and Cockfosters tube station is just a 5-minute walk away. Further details from the same contact as the book club, Sue Scott, who can be contacted at scottsf48@hotmail.com or 020 8368 0861, or just turn up for one of the next dates, the 1st of November and the 6th of December. There's also a walking group. This small walking group is usually about 10 people. They meet on Saturday mornings at 10:30 a.m. by the cafe in Grovelands Park, Broad Walk entrance. We do a 40-minute walk around the park and have a chat in the cafe afterwards. Everyone is welcome, so please feel free to join in. Ring Monica on 020 8886 6514 for more information. Poetry Group. We are forum members who come together each month to read and talk about poems, some well known, some written by us, spiced up with some music. It's very sociable and we all enjoy it, so why not just come along and try us out? We meet in the community room, Town Library, on the 4th Thursday of each month from 10:15 to 11:45. In October, the theme is Faraway Places. For further information, contact Irene Richards on 020 3715 0946 or by email poosticks2@sky.com. In every newsletter, we publish an original poem by a forum member. You don't have to be a member of the group to submit your work for consideration. Please send your poems, but not too long, to Irene. The Forum Writing Group. This new group has been going strong throughout 2017. We meet from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on the third Friday of each month upstairs in the Dugdale Centre. Each month we read a piece of our own writing, followed by a stimulating discussion. It's a really sociable, interesting and friendly group, and our conversations often continue long after the allotted time. Topics are suggested each month by a member of the group. We would be delighted to welcome you. Sometimes some of us have not had time to write, and so simply tell fellow members about something of interest which has happened, or show a photo, so don't be afraid to join us and check us out. For more information, please call Christine Whetstone on 020 8805 1180.
Following on from that information, it's about the forum meetings. At the Civic Centre Enfield, most of the meetings start at about 10 a.m. for a 10:30 start. On Thursday the 31st of October, Tessa Lingfield, Director of Public Health for the London Borough of Enfield, discusses living well in Enfield, adding years to life or life to years. Thursday the 28th of November, Jo Ikef, Chief Executive of Enfield Voluntary Action, discusses the voluntary sector in the borough and the support and services her organisation provides. At Millfield House, Silver Street, in 18, on Thursday the 12th of October, Our own Diane de Jersey, Chair of Enfield Vision, talks about the charity and how it promotes the well-being of visually impaired people living in Enfield. Thursday the 9th of November, Simon Gilbert, Choral Director of Enfield Community Singers in, I want to sing this, Another Opening, Another Show, talking about his exciting career in the world of music. Southgate Beaumont, 15 Cannon Hill, N14, 7DY, Thursday the 17th of October, the Mayor of Enfield, Christine Hamilton, talks about her role and experiences and the demands placed on her as Mayor. Tuesday the 21st of November, Forum member Desi Page was a founder of the Zimbabwean charity TOSE, which fills tremendous gaps in the care and rehabilitation of the severely mentally and physically handicapped people in the country. She will discuss how the charity was set up and her role. There is a Friends of TOSE group in the UK, of which Desi is a member.
This article is also from the Over 50s newsletter and is about booking a home fire safety visit. Make sure your home is as safe as possible by contacting the London Fire Brigade for a free personalised assessment. Older people are at greater risk of dying if you have a house fire. The recent fire in Grenfell Tower has highlighted the dangers of fire to those living in tower blocks, but house fires can occur in homes of any type, and government statistics show that older people are more likely than younger people to die in a house fire. In 2015-16, over half, 52%, of all fire-related fatalities in dwelling fires were 65 years old and over, compared with 25% of all casualties. For every million people in England, there were 5.5 fire-related fatalities in 2015-16. This fatality rate was 11.6 people per million for those 65 to 79 years old, and 19.5 for those 80 years and over. Fires are caused by misuse of equipment or appliances. 36% of accidental dwelling fires in 2015-16, with 40 appliances and leads second at 15%. By far the largest source of ignition is cooking appliances, causing 50% of accidental dwelling fires and 52% of non-fatal casualties in dwelling fires in 2015-16. However, in terms of fatal fires, by far the largest source of ignition is smokers' materials, cigarettes, cigars, pipe tobacco, accounting for 36% of deaths in accidental dwelling fires. You are far less likely to have a fire in your home if you have received a home fire safety visit. That is why the London Fire Brigade offers them free to help make you safer. Even a small fire in your home can lead to substantial damage, which could be expensive to repair and leave you unable to stay in your property for a number of weeks. London Fire Brigade firefighters will visit you in your home and provide you with bespoke advice based on your household and lifestyle to minimise the risk of a blaze. Crews may suggest moving items or furniture as part of any safety recommendations made during the home fire safety visit, if they identify them as hazards. If you ask them to help you move anything, firefighters may assist, but this will be at their own discretion and only with your permission. They may fit free smoke alarms in your property during the assessment. London Fire Brigade home fire safety visits can take place any day of the week at any time that is convenient for you. The assessment takes as long as necessary, but first-time visits are allocated up to 90 minutes. You can contact London Fire Brigade to book a visit by telephoning 08000 284428 or email smokealarms@london-fire.gov.uk. For urgent out-of-hours referrals, please contact 0208 555 1200 and inform the switchboard you need to book a home fire safety visit. You can also visit the website to book a visit and learn about fire safety at home at www.london-fire.gov.uk. We want to ensure anyone who may have increased fire risks are provided with appropriate protection. Although everyone is eligible for a free home fire safety visit, London Fire Brigade has identified a number of health and lifestyle behaviours that increase the likelihood of being involved in a fire. If you know or work with anyone who may have an increased risk of fire, who is less able to react or has reduced ability to escape in the occurrence of a fire, please encourage them to book a free home fire safety visit. These may include factors such as being a smoker, a hoarder, having an alcohol dependency, or suffering from mobility issues.
It's just the start. Cycling and walking should become more pleasurable now that the first stage of a regeneration scheme has been completed on time. Ponders End High Street has reopened to traffic. A more friendly environment has been created with a new block paved junction of South Street, Lincoln Road and Derby Road ready for the new school year. Crossing points and two circular traffic schemes, known as roundels, replace traffic lights to promote careful driving. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Daniel Anderson, said the High Street has received a fantastic facelift and looks superb. Having monitored the first 2 weeks of traffic flow, we are pleased to report that drivers and cyclists are negotiating the junction with less speed and more caution, just as intended. This is just the start. Further work is continuing around Ponders End, which was identified as a regeneration priority area. I'd like to thank the residents and business owners along the High Street who have been incredibly patient and supportive during the ongoing works. In addition, a big thank you must go out to the different partners working simultaneously on the project. This is one of the biggest high street renovations in Enfield in some years, which has required the rerouting of traffic, public transport and pedestrians, and we are very grateful to all involved. Heat network pipes were placed below the road surface, spoil removed to two nearby construction sites, and work started on the A1010 South cycle lane route simultaneously. Amongst the ongoing work on the High Street is the rerouting cables by utility companies. Once this is finished, 5 new crossings will be laid out with trees and planting along South Street. The Ponders End High Street Regeneration Scheme is part of the Council's Grown and Sustainability Commitment. Further information can be found at www.new.enfield.gov.uk Services Improving Enfield, Neighbourhood Regeneration, Ponders End. Questions about changes to the High Street can be made to Neighbourhood Regeneration at enfield.gov.uk.
Special day to promote positive mental health. Mental health remains stigmatised and a problem that too many people are afraid to discuss or address despite its commonality. With 1 in 4 adults and 1 in 10 children likely to experience a mental health problem, according to the World Health Organization, this is seen as surprising. For the past 15 years, October the 10th has been a special date to make people aware of mental health through activities and events so that more can start living healthier, happier lives. Enfield Council is part of this movement, World Mental Health Day, in unveiling support and guidance which is available for residents. They will be promoting good mental health through a massive slideshow beamed onto the side of the Civic Centre building on Silver Street on Wednesday, October the 9th, like a beacon for all to see. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Health and Social Care, Councillor Alev Kazimoglu, said, "World Mental Health Day is a special day to raise the public's awareness by destigmatising and removing the negative publicity around mental ill health, and promoting the fact that everyone benefits from good mental health. 2 million Londoners will be experiencing poor mental health this year, and in conjunction with Thrive London and partners in the voluntary and community sector, we will be hosting a range of events over the next few weeks in recognition of World Mental Health Day. Enfield Council is supporting those efforts to promote positive mental health and improve information about accessing effective support so that the Enfield community can better help themselves and support each other. We are also playing our part by supporting the Thrive London campaign and raising people's awareness by locally asking, "Are you okay, Enfield?" And workshops have been organised for children and teachers at 10 primary and secondary schools, at which all who attend will learn about the support available to them should they have a mental health problem. With their NHS and community health partners, Enfield Council have included arts and craft, drama and movement, and physical activities that show young people where and how to get help. Demonstrations will be held, showing everyone how to look after their own well-being through aids and tools. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection, Councillor Afa Orhan, said, "We all have an important role to play in ensuring young people have good mental health, and events such as these are an excellent way of sharing best practice and demonstrating all the fantastic initiatives and tools which are available for you people in Enfield. Our schools play a vital role in supporting young people who may be going through a difficult period in their lives. They are absolutely committed to providing those young people with the care, support and guidance they need to ensure they bounce back from any problems they may encounter and to equip them with the ability and the resilience to better deal with problems in the future." Further details about tools available to help cope with mental health problems can be found on the Cypher social media app through www.enfield.gov.uk. And Cypher here is spelled CYPHER. There is also information about the Improving Access to Psychological Therapist service, also known as IAPT. To find out more about what Enfield Council is doing to support good mental health, visit www.enfield.gov.uk/healthyou.
More than £400 has been raised from a coffee morning. Patients, visitors and staff raised hundreds of pounds for the world's biggest cancer charity when they came together over a cuppa and a slice of homemade cake. BMI, the King's Oak and Cavell hospitals in Enfield, received more than £400 in donations for Macmillan cancer care from hosting the world's biggest coffee morning. Andrew Jevons Fellows, ex-executive director of the hospital, was delighted with his team's efforts for such a worthy cause. He commented that there may still be monies coming in from text message donations made on the day itself. Jane Wakefield, hospital director of clinical services, said, "I'd like to thank our patients, visitors, staff, consultants, and our excellent fundraising team for the camaraderie, and of course, the cake. Every day we see people who have been touched by cancer, and we see how difficult it is sometimes to cope with the disease. Macmillan Cancer Care is doing an incredible job, and we are pleased to support their work. BMI, the King's Oak and Cavell hospitals are part of BMI Healthcare. BMI Healthcare is Britain's biggest network of private hospitals. There are 59 centres in England, Scotland and Wales. The hospital has developed cancer care resources online, including a free downloadable guide for people who would like to know more about breast cancer. Visit www.bmihealthcare.co.uk, be breast aware, for further information. The world's biggest coffee morning is Macmillan's biggest fundraising event. Last year, 29.5 million was raised from coffee mornings held all over the United Kingdom. The first charity coffee morning was held in 1990.
Sign up and exchange. Community exchange days are to be hosted throughout North London. Enfield is scheduled to hold its Give and Take Day on Sunday, October the 22nd, between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. at St Paul's Church, Church Hill. Free to attend, residents can donate unwanted, reusable items and take something home in return. Donations can include furniture, toys, clothes and electrical goods. A collection and delivery service is available for large goods. Organised by North London Waste Authority, events will also be taking place in Barnet, Haringey and Waltham Forest. Visit www.wiseuptowaste.org.uk/give and take days for further information. That's www.wiseuptowaste.org.uk/give and take days.
And now for some sports news. Football. Tough trip to Maidstone on the horizon in the next round. Enfield Town eased to victory over Phoenix in the FA Cup. Maidstone United stand between Enfield Town and a debut FA Cup first round appearance in their history, following a 3-0 win over Phoenix Sports at the Queen Elizabeth II Stadium. A pair of early goals calmed any nerves of a cup upset in the third qualifying round tie against Phoenix, who play in the South Division of the Bostik League, after a touch of fortune put the hosts on their way to victory inside 7 minutes. Mario Noto's cross sailed over visiting goalkeeper Steve Phillips, who had a difficult afternoon in North East London and began by picking the ball out of the back of his net. His second job was a little harder, but he struggled with it, dropping a high ball from the right under pressure and allowing Simon Thomas to backheel into the net to put Enfield in full control early on. Ryan Blake could have piled further misery on him before half-time when he rounded the stranded goalkeeper, but with better options in the middle, opted to go for goal on his own, which allowed Zach Byron time to get back and slice clear. A free kick from Ashley Proberts provided the visitors' first chance of the afternoon, and just after the half-hour mark, Aaron Green allowed Phillips to register a welcome save. The keeper's torrid afternoon continued after the break, when he was yellow-carded for hacking down Sam Youngs, but was spared further embarrassment when Ryan Blackman failed to tee up the midfielder from the free kick. Blake forced another save from Phillips, and blazed over when well placed as Enfield continued their dominance. With Ben Ward-Cochrane and Noto both going close, the latter striking a well-hit shot off the underside of the crossbar. Montel Moore scored the goal of the day with 3 minutes to go, even with the game as good as done as a contest by this point. He noticed a pocket of space in behind the midfield before drifting inside off the wing and side-footing beyond Phillips. Even then, there were still chances for Ward-Cochrane and George Beattie before Dajan Golding threatened a late consolation for Phoenix, but fluffed his lines. Enfield were in league action at home to Hendon earlier this week, which they won 1-0, and will play the second of 3 consecutive home league games against Margate next.
Champions League football now, as Kane is out to dethrone Real. Harry Kane says Tottenham Hotspur will go to Real Madrid next month, confident of beating the Champions League holders, after he bagged a hat-trick against Apoel Nicosia. Kane's trio of strikes led Spurs to a 3-0 victory over the Cyprus outfit, as they kept up their perfect start to their European campaign. The victory leaves Tottenham level on both points and goal difference with Real, and Kane, who has 5 Champions League goals already this term, says Spurs will look to win at the Bernabeu in October. "We feel we can beat anyone on our day," the striker said. "Of course we know it will be tough, but it's 2 good teams in an open game, probably. It will come down to who is more clinical in the final third. Hopefully that can be us. We're going there to win, not just get a result. We will see what happens." Kane's display delighted Spurs boss Mario Pochettino, who has previously expressed his love of the England forward, who has 9 goals in 5 games for his club this month. The 24-year-old is showing the sort of instinct in front of goal to elevate him to the elite of the game, and Pochettino has no doubt about where his striker stands in world football. Pochettino said he is something special in front of goal, and that is why he is one of the best. All the strikers who are at this level have something special. They are killers. Harry has that special skill.
This is a letter headed up "Despair of EU Migrants," and at the side of it there is a picture of the Prime Minister. The letter reads, "Dear Prime Minister, my wife is affected by a multitude of chronic medical conditions, including type 2 diabetes. She's virtually housebound, and I am the sole carer. I want to thank you for increasing the disability allowance by a paltry 42 pence per week. For 57 years, I have worked, lived, and retired in this country. My wife and I have raised our sons here, and we consider England is our home, and therefore it is in our interest to see the country successful and prosperous. Since the referendum, there has been a deliberate and cynical campaign against EU migration that is instilling so much fear and uncertainty that migrants do not feel valued or wanted anymore. And yet, migration for this country has been a boon in many ways. The campaign is depriving the economy of skilled and non-skilled workers, from cooks, chefs, cleaners, builders, to doctors, technicians, and EU nurses, whose numbers have plummeted so dramatically, thus exacerbating NHS nurse shortages. Since the referendum result, there has been a 96% fall in EU nurse applications. The referendum result was obtained by duping voters with lies. We've now learnt that Boris Johnson's promise to hand £350 million per week that Britain sent to Brussels to the NHS not merely a lie in intent, but in detail. Together with Nigel Farage, they knew immigration was the clincher, therefore focused all their attention on EU migration. They should bury their heads in shame. The real victims of their lies are going to be the needy and the vulnerable who have nothing to fall back on. Your chances of getting a lenient treatment from the EU are zero. The cohesion and integrity of the single market is far more important for the EU policymakers, above all for the Germans who export 60% of goods and services to Europe. Do not delude yourself that the recently elected Angela Merkel will change the policy for you. There are concrete signs that many of those who voted to leave are changing their minds, and you no longer have the mandate to pursue a hard Brexit. I ask you to end the unnecessary upset you are inflicting on EU migrants who've made a valuable contribution to this country and therefore deserve to be treated with respect and dignity and not used as pawns in your negotiations. You should, without any further delay, guarantee us the rights to remain in this country, and the same rights should apply to millions of Britons who live and work in the EU countries. Finally, would you please advise me, in the event of reaching no agreement, do my wife and I have to provide a registration certificate showing that we have worked and lived in this country for 57 years? I think it will cost me £130. I look forward to receiving your reply. Lino Fusco.
This article is from the Mature Times and is titled UK Faces £7 billion Annual Deficit in Elderly Care Funding. People in the UK are underestimating the cost of elderly care by £7 billion every year, according to research from Scottish Widows' independent think tank, the Centre for the Modern Family. On average, UK adults estimate that residential care would cost £549 a week, when in reality it costs, on average, £866 for a place in a nursing home, leaving a shortfall of £317 every week. More worryingly, the deficit could be significantly higher in reality, since 1 in 4 people admit they have no idea how they would cover these costs for themselves or a relative. Only 15% of people are saving money on a monthly basis to pay for their own care when the time comes, and almost half say they avoid thinking about the issue because it makes them feel stressed. With an ageing population and growing care costs, the nation could be facing a care funding crisis. Instead, half of UK adults say they will have to rely on a relative to help them cover the costs. This could leave families in a difficult financial situation, particularly as more than 4 in 10 people have £2,000 or less in life savings to fall back on, meaning they could only cover the cost of care for a maximum of 2.5 weeks. Half of UK adults believe the responsibility of helping parents to pay for care should be shared between siblings. However, almost half of those over the age of 55 still haven't discussed who will take on this responsibility in their family. With more than 9 out of 10 people not saving anything to help their parents or other older relatives, this could lead to a significant shortfall in support particularly as people estimate they could only afford to spend £69 a week on care for their parents. A lack of understanding of the benefits system could also be problematic for many. Almost 1 in 4 people claim they would need or expect to rely entirely on state support, but 2 in 5 admit they don't actually understand what benefits, both practical and financial, they would be entitled to. An over-reliance on relatives to provide financial support already has a significant impact on families. Almost 1/4 of those caring for a family member say it has put a strain on their finances. 1 in 10 have been forced to make sacrifices to cover the cost of care for themselves or a relative, with 1/4 of those people making major adjustments, such as remortgaging their house. A similar proportion have been forced to make a moderate sacrifice, such as taking on a second job to cover the costs. Supporting relatives practically and financially also puts emotional strain on families. Of those providing care, 4 in 5 say it has had an effect on them, with more than 1/4 admitting it has put a strain on their close relationships, although women are more likely to say they have less time to themselves than men when caring for a relative. Men are more likely to feel their family relationships have been impacted than women. Jane Curtis, chair of the Centre for the Modern Family, said, "The number of people in care in the UK will almost double by 2035. Our research shows that an over-reliance on relatives and the state could put families in serious financial difficulty. It can seem difficult to know how to prepare for the future, but to avoid a financial care crisis, we all need to have an honest discussion on later life care as early as possible, so no one is left footing a bill they can't afford. As for state provision, it's clear that many people simply don't understand the social care benefits and support system. Providing clarity and raising awareness of what is and isn't available is critical to helping people prepare for the longer-term future."
Sample some real beers. Here's your chance to sample a more international blend of alcoholic beverage. A beer festival is planned for 12 days from Wednesday, October the 11th to Sunday, October the 22nd inclusive, at 3 well-established watering holes in Enfield. The Moon Underwater in Chaseside, Enfield, the New Crown in Chaseside, Southgate, and the Alfred Herring in Green Lanes, Palmer's Green, have come together to offer enthusiasts a range of beers from around the globe. Australian, American, South African, Swedish and Spanish beers will be on offer at £2.19 a pint, with hints of pink grapefruit, coffee, chocolate, tobacco and toffee in taste. New seasonal and specialty beers will also be available, and a chance to sample any 3 of the real ales in special 1/3 of a pint glasses for the price of a pint. Tasting notes will be on all beers in each of the pubs. Stuart Martin, the Moon Underwater manager, said, "We are promising our customers a superb range of beers from overseas, which have been brewed especially for the festival, together with some great beers from brewers across the UK. The festival will be the perfect way for real ale enthusiasts to enjoy a range of excellent beers over 12 days.
Now here is a letter from Glen Stewart, the Assistant Director of Public Health for the London Borough of Enfield, and it was sent into the Enfield Over 50s newsletter. Moving the argument. This is Harold Wilson, Prime Minister, at the door of Downing Street. Almost certainly this is a photo which the like of which will never be seen again. And here's a classic picture of Harold Wilson pipe smoking and waving at the door of number 10. This is not an academic study, but Wilson is the last British PM of whom I can find a picture of them smoking. What's interesting is why this has come about. Prime Ministers have a leadership role, and it's inconceivable that any modern Prime Minister would have themselves photographed smoking. But they also need to understand the electorate and are influenced by them. It would not only be health and children's charities that would be publicly appalled. Over time, medical evidence has accumulated and become accepted to the point that there is no longer any real argument about the need to reduce smoking, and that restrictions on where people can smoke will not stop the world spinning. Think back to the arguments before and after the smoking ban came into force. The debate about smoking in the workplace is now over. It has been said that culture is the way we do things round here. It's also said that travel broadens the mind. Maybe, maybe not. What it does show is that things do not always have to be done the same way. Areas may be known for or named for their differences. The Mediterranean diet, the Spanish siesta. Equally, history. The rule of thumb came from the rule that husbands could beat their wives with a stick no wider than their thumb. The here and now is not immutable, no matter how concrete it may feel. What's this got to do with health? In short, we choose to live our lives, but within a context. Whether we smoke or not, what we eat, if we walk or cycle, how much we drink is at least partly determined by that which is around us, and we ourselves can influence that, and so the health of others. Again, that's a letter from Glen Stewart, the Assistant Public Director of Health at London Borough of Enfield.
This is another letter. This is a letter from Councillor Christy Fonyanga of Enfield Council. It's headed up Police Station Closures. I'm writing to reiterate the view that the Conservative government is entirely responsible for proposals to close Enfield Police Station and retain Edmonton Green Police Station as the only one in the borough. Enfield Council's official view is that the government should not be reducing funding to the Metropolitan Police. They should have our full support and the resources they need to keep our community safe. Our colleagues in the Conservative group, who are decrying cuts to policing in Enfield, actually voted against an Enfield Council motion calling for the council to write to the Home Secretary asking for increased funding for the police and additional resources. Consequently, the council's Labour administration funded 16 police officers to cover the shortfall created by this government's reckless spending plans. Our administration continues to campaign tirelessly for more police officers for Enfield and, despite government cuts to council finances, continues to pay for additional officers to support the police to keep our community safe. To avoid this situation and police station closures, the government should fund the Metropolitan Police properly. It's not possible to protect the public on the cheap, as some may think is magically possible, and we face difficult times with an increase in terrorism, but we recognise the need for additional police resources. But even if Tory councillors would prefer to spend time moaning about the impact of their own government's policy we have on our borough.
Charity's work looks into the mind of a stalker. A charity named after a female estate agent whose disappearance remains unexplained has secured funding for a project working with people found guilty of stalking. The Susie Lamplugh Trust is to develop and test interventions with the Barnet, Enfield and Haringey Mental Health Trust and other health and law enforcement agencies nationally. The Trust is aiming to gain a better understanding of a stalker's mental health problems through their rehabilitation to help improve criminal justice system and health sector responses. The risk of a stalker offending will be assessed, an understanding of psychological drivers sought, and stopping strongly encouraged. Chief Executive of Susie Lamplugh Trust, Rachel Griffin, said, "We're delighted to be awarded this grant by the Police Transformation Fund via MOPAC. This funding will allow us to work in partnership with criminal justice and health professionals across the country to develop intervention programs for preparations of stalking. At Susie Lamplugh Trust, we are committed to protecting victims of stalking, and by working with perpetrators, we hope to reduce reoffending. Studies have shown that early intervention in stalking cases can reduce the risk to victims, and that concerning behaviours are more likely to be prevented from escalating if they are recognised quickly. A continued specialist focus on preventing harm and changing behaviour is necessary to keep stalking victims safe. It's fantastic to be at the forefront of this groundbreaking piece of work. Our hope is that we can reduce the impact that stalking has on victims. Typical characteristics of a stalker are obsession and fixation, which cause victims suffering. Funding comes from the Police Transformation Fund through the Mayor's Office for Policing and Crime, MOPAC. Studies have shown that stalking can last between 6 months and 2 years, with a third of cases involving violence. 55% of people convicted of stalking reoffend, and 36% have a previous conviction for harassment.
This is an anonymous letter, although the name and address has been supplied to the newspaper. And it's headed Home of Their Own. For anyone under 30 trying to get onto the housing ladder, it is tougher than ever before. The average house price in the borough of Enfield is now estimated to be between £460,000 to £470,000. For youngsters, this makes getting onto the first rung of the housing ladder a distant prospect. So it was incredible to read that in the first year of the new London Mayor, that he has not delivered a single new social housing property. In previous years, the London Mayoral Office began construction on anywhere between 336 to 10,600 new homes per year. The council has embarked on a housing gateway project at a cost of over £100 million to deliver social housing. However, the Housing Gateway project only buys existing homes. It does not actually build a single extra home in Enfield. This could create the perverse situation of the council effectively competing with first-time buyers. When demand is outstripping supply, the council needs to play its part in delivering more housing of all types to help ease demand and the ever-rising house prices. Why cannot the council focus on delivering social housing through actually building new homes? Shelter, the homeless charity, produced a report last year highlighting the hotspots across the country for temporary accommodation and homelessness. This showed that there are 9,278 people living in temporary accommodation in Enfield, ranking amongst the highest levels in the country. Clearly, much more must be done, and urgently. Let us hope that swift action is taken so that more people can realise the dream of a home of their own in Enfield.
This is a letter of praise for Chase Farm Hospital. Dramatic changes taking place at a new hospital to be completed next year in time for the National Health Service's 70th anniversary year have received a ringing endorsement. Lord O'Shaughnessy, the Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State at the Department of Health, arrived at Chase Farm Hospital on Wednesday, September the 27th, for a tour. There is a picture of him on site with Natalie Forrest. After he had been shown round, he was impressed enough to comment that he is keen to see more of this kind of transformation across the NHS. Outpatient services, including diagnostic, musculoskeletal therapies and women's services, an urgent care centre for both adults and children, and an older person's assessment will be up and running once completed. Theatres, day surgery, 50 surgical inpatient beds, endoscopy and medical day cases, including a chemotherapy unit, are getting prepared. Inpatients and endoscopy patients will have en-suite facilities. Walking distances will be shorter, and community group will have access to multi-use rooms on the ground floor to act out healthcare-related activities. Lord O'Shaughnessy said, "I have learned a lot from this visit and take away a lot. I'm particularly thinking about what we can do to get more of these projects going. This build has clearly involved strong trust and clinical leadership every step of the way. Now we need to see what the wider NHS can learn from Chase Farm's experience and how the government can help smooth the way for more of this kind of transformation." Natalie Forrest, Chief Executive of Chase Farm Hospital, said, "Lord O'Shaughnessy wanted to understand first and foremost, how the Trust had been able to use its resources for the benefit of providing a new hospital for the people of Enfield, but also how we have budgeted for this redevelopment and delivered it at such pace."
We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Keith, Janet, Sally, Colin and our guests Geoffrey and Joan and Robin on the controls, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the memory stick into the packet in a closed position and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.